Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today we are looking at the Trade Federation Freighter, or somewhat referred to as a super freighter. This is an armed freighter used by the Trade Federation around the same time as the invasion of Naboo. This model was an advanced version of the Trade Federation freighter, also in use at the same time. The class would continue to be used during and the lead in to the Clone Wars. Kind of going down, the Trade Federation Super Freighter was an elongated white uh, hulled vessel boasting powerful deflector shields and a reinforced hull. It was named with it was armed with two laser cannon turrets and usually escorted by Scarab starfighters. The history of this: the pirate captain Nim engaged several super freighters during his attack against Trade Federation forces in the Kartak system prior to the invasion of Naboo in about 32 BBY. His pirate crew disabled a super freighter above lock, then looted its cargo after the vessel crash landed on the planet's surface. Later, Von Sage led an assault against a freighter convoy over Naboo, during which Reti infiltrated a super freighter and reprogrammed its complement of Scarab fighters to assist Sage's pilots. This aided greatly in breaking the blockade, allowing Vanna and her team to continue their mission planetside. The Federation continued to use the super freighters in its trading fleet up to and including the Clone Wars. A number of these super freighters were involved in the project to produce trihexalon on the planet Nod Kartha by the mercenary Sabbath squadron. So, behind the scenes, the Super Freighters first appeared in the 2001 video game Star Wars Starfighter. So, this is one of those ships that we don't really get to see much of. It was done for a video game, and then later on, for the book that we're using here, that I'm getting all of our stats for and trying to bring everything forward to you, um, we have stats here. Okay, so uh, looking at this in our stat form here, um, we have a nice drawing of how the freighter originally was supposed to look. And of course, when we see it in the video game, because of technology back in 2001, it didn't come off quite as beautiful as this really looks here in our picture. So this is from the Old Republic. It is a cargo freighter. Now, we do have to keep in mind, it had been stated that pirate raids had been getting worse and worse, which was some of the things leading up to trying to arm like the Trade Federation and all that, some of their ships, so that way they could defend themselves, because the galactic military did not have a big force to try and help. We were really relying upon planetary system governments to help police areas. So um, this is where kind of things start falling apart. And then you have taxation for trying to have mercenary outfits um, kind of help subsidize in patrolling areas instead of having an actual military. And then there was pressure on the Senate, and it gets all bogged down. And this is some of the things that was trying to be conveyed in Episode One. Um, Whether you agree with how it went or disagree, that's neither here nor there. It's just that this is the progression of how things had kind of gone on, and it is very well explained in some of the novels leading up to and then beyond all that. Okay, so being a capital scale ship, has a length of 390 meters, a crew of 40, which is a small crew, but it is really just a freighter, so we don't need a huge amount of crew. Can carry about 50 passengers. Cargo capacity is 30,000 metric tons. Consumables is 4 months. Cost is relatively cheap at 230,000 credits. So that's really a fairly inexpensive ship. Has a times 3 hyperdrive, a times 12 backup, so it's a pretty respectable backup because normally we start seeing them a little bit higher. Although when we're looking at a lot of military ships, we see them lower, but we do see a lot higher backup hyperdrives. Of course, it's going to have a nav computer. It only has a space of 4, but that's pretty respectable because it's not meant to outrun things. It's just meant to haul cargo. We don't get a atmospheric speed or whatever because essentially it's just maneuvering and landing. It's not really trying to fly through an atmosphere. Um, then we get to our maneuverability being a 1D. There again, it is a freighter not meant for doing military maneuvers and all that. So there we are. We have a hull of 3D, so it's a little bit above average, and shields of 1D plus 1. So harkening back to when we didn't really arm a lot of our ships and all that, and it being an older ship, and then they started putting armaments on these ships in order to try and defend against pirates and so on and so forth. A shields of 1D plus 1 was probably thought to be, even though I'm looking at it as a little bit about rudimentary, but I'm talking about it in a military sense. When you're just talking about just the ships, really just needing a deflector dish to get the debris out of your way as you're traveling through the hyperspace lanes. Uh, it's plenty for that. But once we start getting into military sense, yeah, it's not really going to hold up all that long. Okay, our sensor packet. So passively, we can scan out to about 2 kilometers. Actively, we can scan out to 5 kilometers. We have an 8-kilometer search and 400 meters for our focus. And then getting down to our weapons here, we have 2 double laser cannons, forward facing. These are capital scale. We have a fire control of 1D plus 2 and damage of 5. So still, seeing it as it was really meant as a cargo ship, and we're putting guns on here to defend it. The 1D plus 2 being kind of a little bit rudimentary in a lot of regards. It is pretty respectable to say this was upgraded to really help defend itself along the way. Hoping that they would not really need it, but there it is. And then we do have 2 quad laser cannons, one on the left, one on the right, for trying to help fight against our starfighters. But this is all at capital scale, so it has a fire control of 1D plus 2, which is not going to work very well towards starfighters because in our D6 system, going down a category, you're going to lose 2 dice in your fire control. So really, you're gonna be at a 0, or if you really wanted to argue, probably like a -1. So whatever you roll, you're going to lose 1 on it. So if you look at how the scaling works, if you're unfamiliar with how the scaling works, a very, very easy is like a 5. Your common is a 10. If it's got some sort of difficulty, you're looking for a 15. It gets more, you just kind of go up by 5. Something extraordinary is going to be a 30 plus. And you just kind of go from there, which I have had characters with just a small dice pool still being able to pull off a 30 plus. It does happen in the system. All right, and with our quad laser cannons, they do 4D damage. Again, if we're shooting at a starfighter and we do hit them, the damage scales up, so that's now going to be a 6D. So to most fighter craft, a 6D damage going towards you is going to be kind of substantial here. Even if it's a low roll or whatever, the potential is still really there. It just means that you kind of nicked them or something like that. Instead of getting a good solid hit, you just kind of nicked on the outside of like one of the wings or something like that. So, and that's how a lot of the role playing games really kind of work. It's not like you missed them. Maybe it just got absorbed by the shield, or maybe you did miss, but just barely. But when you hit them, but you get a really weak hit, it's like you just kind of hit them, but just barely, and you kind of go from there. however. Or maybe if you want to call it, maybe it was a bad charge on the energy cell or whatever that it was using at the time. Um, there's always issues, right? So again, it's another one of these ships that we don't really get to see all that much. This was done back in 2001 for one of the video games, and we have it ported over to doing um, a lot of the like Clone Wars and all that stuff. And honestly, now this ship being or this book bringing a lot of the Clone Wars stuff into there. Originally with the D6 system, we did not get the Clone Wars because all that was really gone, and it was in the hands of Weston Game or not Weston Wizards of the Coast when the prequel trilogy came in. So it was a lot of work trying to come up with all this stuff for whoever had done all this, trying to do the research or grab it from Wizards of the Coast, reverse engineer it, and then get it into the D6. So um, all recognition really should go for all the people that had gone through all that work and all that to bring it to us in the D6 so that way we can enjoy doing the Clone Wars in the D6. So it's fun bringing this stuff to you. It's always fun bringing a little bit of a highlight onto ships that we don't typically get to see. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next video.